Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And as I always say, of course, the irony of is that I love rock music. And this band BOXER is a good example of that. And as I mentioned in the previous video about PATTO, they're kind of a continuation of PATTO in some ways with a different aesthetic. And I highly recommend checking out the PATTO video and checking out PATTO. But as I mentioned, I'm going to do a separate video on BOXER because they really are a separate band. And I remember when the announcement came out because I was already a PATTO fan back then. And then in 1975, I read about the fact that there was a new band with Holly Halsall and Mike Patto, singer and guitar player from PATTO, forming a new band called BOXER. And it was another one of those deals where you looked at the pedigree and you got pretty excited because the rest of the band was Nick Potter on bass from Van der Graaf Generator and one of the all-time great British drummers, Tony Newman. Tony Newman played with May Blitz, Three Man Army, David Bowie, all kinds of people. Just a stellar drummer, and apparently he was always out for hire. And he does a great job on this record, although for the drummer that's capable of what he can do, it's pretty restrained. It's pretty basic hard rock. And I remember at the time, I was really excited when they announced the lineup for Bad Company. And Bad Company was kind of assembled in the same way that BOXER was. Mick Rouse from Mott the Hoople, Paul Rogers, Simon Paul Rogers from Free, and then Boz Barrel from King Crimson, and Simon Kirk also from Free. And it looked really great on paper. I was really excited about it, but I know a lot of people probably are going to chafe at this. But when the first Bad Company album record came out, considering all the people's involved in the pedigree, I was severely disappointed. And Bad Company were an okay band. I'm not a big fan, so this is going to be one of those moments where I might piss people off. But that's just how it is. Just not. I have respect for them, and I appreciate what they did and their great moments, and there were great moments. But overall, I'm not a Bad Company fan. But BOXER came out, and basically it was a new version of PATTO in a way, but with a more straightforward hard rock bend to them. So they weren't near as exploratory and not jazzy at all like PATTO was, and so they were trying to uh, get some popularity, and I don't blame them for that. So in 1975, the BOXER Below the Belt album came out, and it's a really great record. Like I say, it's pretty straightforward hard rock, but Mike Patto is such a great singer, and Ollie Halsall, although very restrained on this record, is incredible guitar player, and Tony Newman does a great job, and it's just a really solid record. And some of the moments are really incredible. Mike Patto singing on Town Drunk has got to be heard to be believed. As far as British blues rock singers, he truly is one of the greatest of all time. And Town Drunk is absolutely blood curdling. But they wrote pretty memorable tunes, so it's a solid record from beginning to end, and it's recorded really well. And very pleased with that record. And over the years, I just grow more and more fond of it. And here we have the Patto curse again because BOXER recorded a follow-up in '73 called Bloodletting, and Virgin wouldn't release it. And so the record finally got released about 6 years later, 4 years later, finally got released because Mike Patto died in 1979 of throat cancer, I believe, at a young age. Really sad. But when he died, that second BOXER record was released, and you can tell parts of it are a little unfinished. But there's a live version of Teachers by Neil Young on there that's got a lot of incredible Ollie Halsall guitar work on it. And it's a pretty solid record and a great cover of Hey Bulldog. And apparently they were almost ready to release it because there is a US promo 12-inch and a promo 45 of BOXER doing Hey Bulldog. And so They were almost going to release it, and for some reason they didn't. So, there's a couple of good bootleg live shows out there. There's one from the Roundhouse, and it's at the wrong speed, so it sounds a little tired, but it's really hard to tell how much their heart was in playing more straightforward material. You could tell that something else wanted to burst out of there. But Boxer didn't last long. They reunited again in '76, and then revamped their lineup. And so by 78 or 76 through 79, there was a revamped Boxer with a whole new lineup, and it's really an odd lineup. But apparently there was a lot of money behind this new Boxer lineup. Mike Patto's reputation had grown. George Martin apparently was interested in producing them, but wasn't available at the time. They got a huge advance, and Mike Patto put together a really kind of odd band. At first, Keith West from Van de Graaff Generator and the Misunderstood was on bass, but then was replaced by Tim Bogert. So it's weird that Tim Bogert, after quite a few years after Cactus and Beck, Bogert, and Apogee, ended up in this British band. So you got Tim Bogert on bass. You've got Eddie Taduri, an American drummer, was flown over. He used to be in a band called Waku. Chris Stanton from the Grease band, and then Adrian Fisher on guitar, and he did a pretty good job of kind of filling in for the kind of feel that Ollie Halsall would have used, and plays a lot more slide. But of course, he became famous being in the band Sparks, and he was in a British band called the Jets before that. But it's really interesting to go from Sparks to this new lineup of Boxer. And so they finally managed to release an album in 1977 called Absolutely, and it's pretty solid. There's a lot of good stuff on it. It's not as dear to my heart as the original Boxer lineup with Ollie Halsall. It would be hard to compete with that, but it is a solid record, and of course it went nowhere. And 2 years later, Mike Patto died of cancer. So sad. And as I mentioned previously, of course, when Patto disbanded, the members kind of went all over, and Ollie Halsall ended up playing with the Ruddles, Kevin Ayers, John Cale, Neil Innes, things like that. He was in Tempest in 1973, and then Mike Patto actually in 1974, right after Patto broke up, ended up being a keyboard player and part-time singer for the band Spooky Tooth. So there's one Spooky Tooth album called The Mirror. That's Mike Patto, and he delivers some great vocal performances. So it's really sad. You can tell that Ollie Halsall and Mike Patto really loved each other and really liked playing together, and made numerous attempts to do so. And then just out of economic necessity, had to part ways and get into other projects. And so really kind of a sad history for Patto and Boxer and Ollie Halsall and Mike Patto. Mike Patto dying, and then Ollie Halsall died in the '90s, penniless, and a lot of people still have never heard of him. And as I mentioned before, he's one of the greatest guitar players of all time. So there you have it. We have the follow-up to the Patto video, Boxer, another band that I highly recommend. Once again, they're not going to be for everybody. Some people might find it mediocre. Got good reviews at the time, and I thought it was great, and I still think it's great because the players are great, the material is great, and just once again an all-time great band for me. So I recommend Boxer. Check them out. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.